I told you, transition don't happen overnight. Some of us 30 years, 40 years, 25 years, being other than yourself. You're not going to change overnight. You're going, but that's why and listen, I'm hard on a brother that had now 10 years than I am for a brother that had now 10 minutes or 10 weeks. Because 10 years, you know more than that brother that had it for 10 weeks or 10 months. And then you're held responsible for what you know. He's not held responsible for what he don't know, but you are held responsible for what you know. And after 10 years, you're supposed to know a hell of a lot more than he do. So I come down on you a hell of a lot harder than I come down on him. Because we know more. If you know more, it's like if you know more, you're supposed to do better. We're supposed to grow and develop. That's what growth and development means. You grow and you develop and you become better and better and better. Listen, if you look for wrong in your brothers, you're going to see it. You ain't supposed to be looking for that. What you're supposed to be looking for is ways to help him recognize them, eradicate them, so he can grow and become a better person. We are taught to become the best that we can be. We're supposed to be greater than our Father. We can't be greater than our Father. We keep looking for fault. We could be looking for evil in our brothers and our sisters. That's not how it goes. You look for the best in them, and you look to develop and cultivate the best that's in them, and acquire and take on them attributes. That's supposed to become part of your clothing. We say robes of righteousness. That's your robes. That's the threads that puts that together. All the goodness and all the greatness you see in your brothers and sisters. We're the greatest nation on the planet. If we stop being individuals. We're not individuals. There's only one self. That's God, the universe. That's all Allah. We are supposed to be emulating Him. We're supposed to become Him. We're supposed to take our community wills, eradicate it, and put it in cohesion with His. From 60 months he was with us, in 5 years, 5 is the power, that's the truth. 60 equality cipher, equality that cipher is being manifested, but showing us the unity in which people be manifesting through our magnetic, which is our power. That's 5%, it's God's on earth. We can never forget the 5%, that's where we came from, and that's who our children are, until they become God's earth. And then we don't stop there. You don't stop till you become Allah. And then you don't stop there. You got to maintain that. Remember I told you, he said, when you go to another man's house, you got to respect their laws. That's because of this. Our student enrollment, the very first degree says, God of the universe. To be God of the universe, that means you have to create a universe. It means you got to make an earth and then make some babies. You are God of that universe. Nobody else is God of that universe because you are the maker and owner of that. That's yours. You are Allah there. That's your universe. Everybody do that. And if you do that, that's where you are Allah at. That's where you the God of the universe. That's your universe. You're not God of my universe. You ain't there with my woman. And you don't discipline my children. That's my responsibility. We're supposed to do our job. Our job is to do just that. Be the God of your universe. But the very first thing you do is you got to learn so you can go ahead out and create it. That's how you show improve.
Good morning.
Peace. Robert Walker.
Yeah.
Was in Madam for Law.
Was she ever in the box with your father?
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know that. I know that he was in Madam with the father. I know that his name was Allah the Son. I know that he changed when Allah returned his life. He decided he changed his name to Wisdom Body. And he started what they call the first Muslims.
Right. First Muslims.
Yeah, the first Muslims. Then he had checked it somewhere, 100 years for foul stuff that he do. That's why it was important that we accept nothing on face value. That's why it's important. Peace. That's why it was important to accept nothing on face value, but face the value of the things that you can accept. Meaning that, listen, when the law was in Malamar, when he was in Bellevue, he was with his brother Armando X. Armando X was in the temple with him, so he knew Armando X. They were very good friends. So when he was in Bellevue, him and Armando X would build a lot. So Armando X started writing these lessons.
Right.
Marvel Manifest,
I heard he was like
Power of Creation,
yeah.
Allah 360, and a few others, and sent them out here. And the brothers got hold of it. When they went to see Allah in Matamar, they took him to him and told him about him. And he told the guards to burn him.
Okay, I heard.
So when the brothers came back and told us that, a lot of the brothers they took matches or then we had chain lighters and they would burn their lessons.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Literally burning them. When I came up here to Mecca and asked the God about that, he explained to me what burn meant. He said, burn don't mean burn them physically. You mean burn them, take them to the lab and go and take it to its essence. Burn it. You burn something, we burn something, it goes back into its original form. So you want to find out the essence of it, the origin of it, the etymology of it, its true essence. And that's what burning means. So that's what we did. And we found a lot of that stuff he said, majority of the things he said was right exact. And it was in our lessons. It was things that we can utilize. And we took out what was good and politics that we can use, and those that didn't understand, things that didn't understand, they left alone. And that's what's happening today. They don't burn it. They don't burn it. That's nobody studies. In my day and time, we study. If I ask you a question, not only do I want to answer, but I want to know how did you came to the answer. Can you prove that? Remember, you're speaking to them like they're 6 or 60. Meaning that we have a bad tendency of doing this. And I find myself guilty of this a lot of times. That's why I'm making my business, man. I'm a little long-winded because I try to break it down. It's this. We speak to people thinking that they know what we know. We speak to them like what we're talking about is a part of their conversation, part of their education, part of their lifestyle, and it's not. That's what I mean by teaching. When you speak to people, you have to break down what you're saying. So when we start talking about God, sacred, divine, nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. But when you say God, sacred, divine, you say, listen, G in our alphabet is God. And it's the 7th letter. So we got the number 7 now, which is G. We say the 15th letter alphabet is O. So we say O means cipher. So we say God, cipher, 7 and 15. Then we say, and D is the 4th letter. So we got D, which is divine or destroy. So we said now God, cipher, divine is wisdom equality, meaning that we took 7, we took 4, and we took the 7, the 15th, and the 4. We add them up, and it came out to 26. And in our supreme mathematics, that's wisdom equality. So you got to define that. Our mathematics go from knowledge to cipher, or knowledge and cipher. You got to break that down. But you got to define what you're talking about. And then when you use words, you got to learn the etymology of the words. So when you express them, you can explain to them what you mean by what you say, and give them a reference point, something that they can go back and check out. That's why the Bible and Quran was so important in our teachings, because the majority of our people were either Christians or Muslims. So in order to talk to a Christian, you got to be able to talk their language. Their language is the Bible. In order to talk to a Muslim, you got to be able to talk to them in their language. Their language was the Quran. And then when you really get into it, you find out not only was the Quran, it was the Hadith. So you learn Quran and Hadith, and so you can be able to talk to them in their language. So you can show and prove our mathematics in their language. And you got to be able to break it down. You got to be able to find it. You can't just run off your mouth talking just because you sound good. And that's what a lot of us do. We talk because it sounds good rather than teach. And that's where a lot of them problems come from. And that thing about, I don't speak no lessons no more, then you ain't got no business here. Get out. It's expounding them lessons, man. You have to know them lessons. They have that lie they've been running around telling for years. Justice didn't know 120 degrees. Old man Justice knew 120 degrees better than everybody sitting in this room.
Okay, that's what I heard.
Listen, Justice, I've stood here many a days sitting right out there and heard Justice correct somebody on a lesson. You can't correct a brother on a degree if you don't know it. Use common sense. How can I tell you 2 and 2, 22 is 4 when you add if I don't know that? Right? So if he's telling you, no, that's not right. This is what it's supposed to be. Common sense tell you got to know it in order to tell you. He tell you that so you don't be bothering with it. Because if you got to ask him, that means that you were never listening to him. Because if you listened, you would know he knew it because you always expressed it. And a lot of older brothers, they was, especially like brothers like Malik of the Harlem Six. They didn't speak to everybody. They didn't know you. They didn't speak to you. Because a lot of brothers wasn't just talking our language. They weren't talking language of the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. So he never spoke to them. He didn't talk to them. Brother, I'll come up to him, peace, Malik, what's going on? I have a brother with me. And they said, peace. He said, peace to me, and ignore him. Hey, what's happening with your man? That's how he is. He don't know you. He don't know you. Simple as that. He been here since he got knowledge of self. He been in prison. And if he don't know you from the street, or know you, from one of the true and living gods, after you observe you with them and see how you is, and get to know you, he don't mess with you. That's how it's supposed to be. He don't know you. Don't get mad at that. Brothers tell you that the Harlem Six got knowledge of self in the 60s, 3. Right and wrong. Right, they got knowledge of self according to Elijah and Ra's teachings. Malcolm was their influence. Malcolm was their guide. But they made a law when he came. He was going to court. While he was still in Bellevue, he was going to court. Right, he was in Tombs. He went to court one day, and when he got through with the court, you go back, they put you in the bullpens. So he was going by the bullpens, you see them brothers sitting in the bullpens, them 6 young brothers. And he said, he told the policeman, he said, put me in the bullpen with them. He went in the bullpen with them. He started building with them. In 1965, he was building with them, and that's when they became fathers.
Okay, peace,
That's when they got this knowledge.
Okay.
That's when they became members of this nation.
Peace.
Prior to that, they was not fathers. That's when they got knowledge of self. When we said knowledge of self, we're talking about this teachings. That's when they got this. I got all of them. It was actually, in the beginning, they wasn't called the Harlem Six. When they got arrested, it was called New York 7. If you look in there, you go back and look at the old archives in Amsterdam, Daily News, and other papers they had at that time, you see the article says New York 7. They even got a book out called New York 7. And it was actually 7 of them originally. The 7th one is Robert Barnes Jr. Robert Barnes Jr. was the youngest of all of them. And the police beat him. He beat him that bad, man. Wow. The police beat that brother that bad, man. His shoulder was broken, his face was discombobulated. They beat that brother viciously. He was only 16 years old. That's how I remember that death penalty. And they threatened him. And he turned 6 another 6. Consequently, later on, he wrote a 28-page affidavit explaining what transpired, how they beat him up, how they made him lie and tell him about them, and that's how they got the reversal. And they copped out the time served all but Malik. Malik decided he wanted to go back to trial again, and he went back to trial and got 25 years life, but all the rest of them came home. And because of that, they became New York 6. And once they became 5%, we adopted them as Harlem 6. We gave them the title Harlem 6. They was called New York 7.
Wow.
You know they had that on Channel 13 too.
Yep. I've been now since 1964, which is going on 55 years, and with that I say peace.
Yo, peace, God.
Thank
God.
you. Thank you.
Wow.
That was very educational.